Good afternoon, everyone, or good morning, depending on your location. We think some attendees may still be trickling in, but we'll go ahead and get started with the introductions and that sort of thing. Thank you for joining us today for RSI's Lunch and Learn webinar discussing background screening options throughout the employee life cycle. I'm Stephanie, and I work in compliance, and I'm a special projects manager at Reference Services. We do want to just do a quick reminder that we are recording the webinar today, and the recording and slides will be sent via email within the next day or two. We want to start out with our legal disclaimer. So as everyone knows, we are a consumer reporting agency and we are not attorneys. So any information given in today's webinar is educational in nature and should not be considered legal advice. Presenting with me today is Brad, RSI's president and COO. Heather had a conflict and is not able to join us, unfortunately, today, but she should be back next time. Our agenda for today includes a brief look at your authorization forms, looking at various continuous monitoring options, including criminal, MEDEX, and CDL or MVR monitoring. And we'll also take a look at other rescreening options within our client portal. Throughout the presentation, if you have any questions at all, please submit them in the Q&A chat and we'll dedicate time at the end for those questions. So like I said, before we jump into the screening options, we wanted to remind you that if you are considering continuous monitoring or rescreening, you need to confirm that your authorization form covers the entire employment life cycle. RSI's authorization form templates and forms that we use in our electronic applicant invitations all include verbiage that authorizes obtaining consumer reports at any time after receipt of the authorization and throughout their employment if applicable. So you can see that highlighted on there. And just as a reminder, if you're using QuickApp or AppScreen, our electronic applicant invitation system, this form will be retained in the RSI platform along with the background check for a period of 3 years per the Fair Credit Reporting Act requirements. If you desire to keep the form on file longer than that period of time, you will need to be sure to download a copy of the form for your records. And now I'm going to turn it over to Brad to start discussion on some of those continuous monitoring options.
Great, thank you, Stephanie. I would add to on those authorization forms, we have copies of those. If you don't have the most recent forms, you can certainly send a note to our help desk. We'll be happy to get those out to you. We have a zip file, and so they're basically just templates that you can use and put on your letterhead. So I want to start off, this is all about post-hire screening and just some statistics here just to give you an idea of why we're teeing this up as a topic today. But 96% of employers are conducting some form of background check, and that could include a basic criminal check or an MVR, verifications, any combination of anything that we can provide in the background screening industry. But only 89% of those employers are never rescreening or after the initial check. And as you know, many of our employees, we hope, stay for many, many, many years. And there are various things that we want to possibly uncover or know, and depending strictly on our risk. But today we're going to be talking about continuous monitoring and rescreening. And so there's certain benefits in the post-hiring world that we would think about depending on your type of company, but certainly we want to discover any new criminal convictions. We can also protect employee safety, increase the trust and confidence amongst our employee base. Protecting our reputation and brand is huge. We certainly see all kinds of issues where people get in trouble, and it certainly affects the company that they work for. Maintaining high standards throughout the company, reducing liability and risk, and maintaining regulatory compliance. And I will say that when employees know that there is a continuous monitoring program in place, it certainly helps with all these different issues. So let's first start off talking about criminal monitoring. So continuous criminal monitoring. So this monitors and alerts employers of ongoing employee arrest and criminal activity in real time. It fills in the gaps between pre-employment and post-employment background investigations. We do have customizable filtering, and it's a subscription-based service that accesses the largest jail booking database in the country. We'll talk about the filtering here in a little bit later. And then ongoing criminal status changes allows the employer to act sooner to protect the company from risk. The way we handle this is that our order review team actually monitors any criminal activity, and then we scope that work, and then we send it back to our clients once we've convinced that we have the proper person and the proper criminal activity. The jurisdiction level court data provides both arrest data and the resulting court level activity for the arrest that's entered into the court system. We do have the advanced filtering that I spoke of. It does cover 90% of the U.S. population. And I've highlighted here, it's important to note that it also covers the national federal courts, those 94 district courts, appellate courts, and the Supreme Court. Many of our clients do not run a national federal search in their original pre-hire. If you're a bank, you're required to do that. But some others don't. These district courts usually are things like drugs across state line or espionage or money laundering, things of that nature. So those are high-level crimes that you'd certainly want to find out about in continuous monitoring. If you're not checking that in your pre-hire, would certainly flag something that might be going on during out the employment cycle. Traffic court moving violations, these are huge. There's a number of filter sets there we'll go over. The sex offender data for all 50 states. The new records are added every 60 seconds, and then alerts are delivered within 24 hours of a record becoming public. And that's because we're putting that through our order review team. Once we get flagged, we take the time to actually do some homework on that to make sure we've got the proper person and the identifiers. All of this is done. The way we handle it for our clients is through batch uploads. We have a batch file, it's a CVS Excel file that we send to our clients. They put the names of the employers in the file. The file simply gets sent to us anytime there's a change to the number of employees or the employer names that want to be continuously monitored. That basically is $1.75 per name per month. Comes out to $21 a year. You can put someone into these monitoring programs. If you are doing rescreening and that is on an annual basis, then you can certainly consider a $21 charge for continuous monitoring versus what you may be doing in a rescreening world. So again, an efficient way of monitoring. This slide here kind of shows a data set that was done over 9,000 different subjects that were monitored under this program. And you can see there was a little bit over 1,000 of those subjects had some type of a hit, either from a felony, which is the serious offense of 355 of those, non-felony jailable offenses, 531, and then other just non-jailable offenses. So that's a big number on as far as a hit rate is concerned. I will tell you that on the pre-employment side, all of those criminal packages that we run, we're averaging a 21% hit rate. So to have a hit rate that's larger than that of continuous monitoring certainly points to the importance of this program. So here's the filter sets. I'm certainly not going to read through all of these. There's a lot here, but I have highlighted some of those that are unique and possibly different. But violations of probation, warrants, violations of the courts, failure to appear at court may flag and highlight some issues that are going on. You can see stolen property, stolen vehicles, illegal possession and illegal sale or purchase of say a firearm or something of that nature. But at the bottom, you see all the traffic offenses that we can flag for. And you can see suspended and revoked license, driving under the influence of alcohol. You can see speeding over 20 miles an hour, negligent driving. Certainly, if there's anyone driving on behalf of a company, these are things that you'd want to know about. We've had instances where some of these things happen over the weekend, and on Monday we get the arrest records and we're flagging our clients late Monday or Tuesday. So that's a pretty quick indication that something has happened in a short amount of time. And then we'll just kind of put together a list of relevant key industries that we see using these monitoring programs, the criminal monitoring. So these certainly, as you look at these are high risk industries: healthcare, certainly, home services, transportation, senior care, volunteers, the gig economy and staffing, childcare, financial is probably one of the largest areas that we work with. And then we have a number of youth camps that are also using the product. So now I want to turn to medical monitoring. So this is continuous MedX monitoring, as we call it. In the medical field, there's certain things that can be monitored, and most of it are exclusions lists. So we're talking about doctors and nurses and healthcare providers that may be on an excluded list for some reason and not allowed to participate in certain healthcare systems and or services. So the OIG, Office of Inspector General, the drug enforcement agencies, TRICARE is the military health systems, and then SAM is the systems of award management for the United States government. So if you're excluded from doing any work with these folks, it certainly raises a lot of flags. Each one of these is a different stage that adds a little bit more depth. So the MedX Plus adds in the TRICARE and SAM. The MedX Pro adds in the 40 plus state Medicaid divisions, and then the MedX Complete adds in the board's actions list. We can also monitor licensing. So if you have doctors, nurses, and whatnot, you want to monitor their individual license. So these products range anywhere from $4 for the MedX basic medical exclusions list all the way up through the MedX Complete, and the monitoring, they range from $4 to $12 per name, and that is per year. So that's different than the criminal monitoring. That's just a flat fee for the year. Certainly affordable price for what they're offering. Lastly, in the continuous space, we want to talk about motor vehicle monitoring. Many of our clients will run an MVR on day one, and we have many clients that do a batch once a year. Like in a January, they might rerun the MVRs. This is an option if you have a number of drivers that we partner with Samba Safety. They have one of the largest data sets in the country for monitoring MVR activity. This would be for any high-risk drivers. They certainly are responsible, you can see here, for on average 40% of the cost associated with crashes, incidents, insurance, and just day loss. So again, instead of an annual or a quarterly, you can consider the continuous monitoring. Now, this comes from Samba. These are, I just kind of did a screen grab here, but this is 22% reduction in monthly violations when put on these monitoring products. You can see a 14% reduction in crashes, 32% reduction in just risk overall to the company. And if you look at the bottom far right, their customers are saying it's a $50,000 annual administrative savings. So that's all of these things kind of think work into protecting companies' risk for sure. So a little bit on pricing here. Samba does have DOT and non-DOT regulated driving offerings. They have what's called a Q transportation product, which monitors the CDL drivers. That is the actual monitoring of the driver and the vehicle. It's roughly $2 per month. I did skip over that Samba does have an onboarding fee. This is a one-time only fee to set up an account of $500. They also have a Q licensing, which is basically just monitoring MVRs. That's around $2.50 per month. In this particular product, we would do a baseline MVR to make sure there's nothing historical. And then there's a scoring program here to where you actually get a 3-year look back on the driver. You look at what their report looks like, you get a score, and then you kind of monitor moving forward. Then you kind of get this scoring of red, green, yellow points system that kind of allows you from an HR policies perspective to, do I keep somebody on the road or I take them out of a company vehicle type of thing. And then there are emails that are sent to the users as a baseline report for each client. This is a kind of a simple screen grab on the monitoring, but you do from Samba, you get a login to where you can actually click on each driver. You can see their report. You can see where they're licensed. You can see if there's any issues with their license. You can kind of see the scoring. You can tell if they're in the monitoring program, and you can actually order a new MVR if needed. So these are things that are handled outside of the RSI platform. And then lastly, I'm going to turn it back over to Stephanie to talk about rescreening. She's very well versed in how our platform is set up to do rescreening on different intervals.
Thanks, Brad. Yeah, so if the continuous monitoring options don't seem like quite the right fit for your company, we do have rescreening options available for periodic screening of employees. So like it says here, the RSI platform can handle rescreening at various intervals, which allows you to manage all of your rescreening needs in one portal. And once this is set up, users can receive notifications as your employees come up for rescreening. This helps you manage the rescreening, or you could remove the individual if they're no longer employed or things like that. You can set up different packages for the rescreening based on the initial package ordered. For example, if you order a core criminal package with the 7-year county history, nationwide, and social security trace, you order that on there upon hire, but then the rescreening, you don't necessarily need to go that in depth. You could order a basic package with the nationwide social security trace and just the current county of residence. It can also vary by position. So for drivers, you can include an MVR in the rescreening package if you need to. Some of the ways this can be used are listed here, including license and accreditation verification, medical screening, post-accident, going along with policy changes, or just for a periodic rescreening requirement that you have for your company, or maybe you have a contract with someone that requires rescreening or something like that. In addition to scheduling rescreening, you can also just initiate or order a new background check manually at any time. And I think Brad mentioned previously, we have batch upload options for like things like annual MVRs or anything like that. Next, I'm going to briefly touch on our integration partners and some upcoming additions. We are currently working with Paylocity, along with many other applicant tracking systems, to integrate background checks. We do have some upcoming new ones, an integration with Paycor scheduled to become available sometime this year. And in addition to that, we now have a new option using a Google Chrome extension for easy ordering from any platform. Whether or not you see that platform listed on this screen, it can be ordered from anywhere. So just a few reminders as we wrap up for today. If you're going to be doing any rescreening, double check your authorization forms and make sure it states for the entire time the person is employed. If not, you would need to get new forms signed. And like Brad said, we could provide you with a template if needed. You would get monitoring alerts. Monitoring will alert you as an employer of an ongoing employee arrest and criminal activity in real time. You can fill in the gaps between pre-employment and post-employment background investigations by using continuous monitoring, and rescreening options are available at various intervals. Batch file uploading can also save you time if you have a large number to do at once. Just as our last reminder, a copy of the presentation will be sent out to everyone who attended today, as well as posted on our client portals for easy access if needed. If you have any questions at all, you can ask those in the Q&A chat. Brad and I would be happy to answer those. I don't really see anything popping in there at this time. If you do have any other questions that are maybe just specific to your company, you can always email sales@referenceservices.com or reach out to your account manager to ask those questions, and we will be happy to help you. We'll just wait just a minute and see if any questions pop in here.
Yeah, I don't see anything popping up, Steph. I just want to thank you for your time today and appreciate everybody joining us for the webinar. We're trying to keep these under 30 minutes. It's just quick information that we can provide to our clients, and we try to have these, if not monthly, every other month. So be on the lookout for future announcements as we try to continue this educational process.
All right, thanks, everyone.
All right, thank you.